Hey everyone, welcome. It's Backstage Pass. It's Sarah. It's Wednesday. How are you doing? Today I am featuring Lazerbeak, musician, producer, songwriter, manager, CEO of Doomtree Records, and there he is. Can you hear
Are we
me?
back?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Yes. I was like,
we
where'd
did
you
it.
go? Where'd you go? Yay. All right. Well done. Nope, you're gone again.
Oh no,
Okay, you're back.
really? Am I
Okay, you're good.
back? Okay,
Just, yeah, you're back. Don't move. Don't do anything.
I'm
You're
not.
good.
I'm.
So how are you?
Whew, I don't even know how to
Okay.
answer that anymore. But I think I'm. All things considered, I'm having a good week, and I'm having a good day, and so I'm trying to kind of think about it in those terms. So
Yeah.
I'm doing good today. How about you? Are you in San
Well,
Francisco?
I am in San Francisco. I am in a friend's place in Tiburon across the bay, so it's pretty and got an ocean view. So, like you, taking it day by day. Um, 'Cause it's been a rough time, for everyone, for all artists. So, tell me
No
what have you
question.
been up to in the past, what, 5 months? What's been going on?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I'm a producer, so I'm a music producer, but also I do a lot of like I run Doomtree Records, and I manage or have managed a lot of artists outside of that. So when COVID hit, I think there was over like 100 shows on the books amongst all the artists I worked with, and that was just like those are gone, or the
Yeah.
first couple months now we have to reschedule them, and then those rescheduled dates got rescheduled, and so
Mm,
that was like the first 2 months felt like just putting out fires
yeah.
for just rescheduling stuff, and then there was like a couple weeks of like, oh, and also I'm a parent of 3 kids, so the home distancing stuff was
Hmm.
really hard.
Yeah.
And shouts to teachers, if there's anyone watching, you did awesome, and parents, you did good too. But that was really hard. And then there was a couple of weeks where I felt like, okay, this is going all right. And then here in Minneapolis, obviously George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis
Hmm.
police, and that sent everything into just I live very close to the precinct that was broken into. Like, we were very safe the whole time. I was never The only people I was concerned about were like white supremacists. I was
Right.
never
Hmm.
scared, and the cops. Actually, I was scared of the cops and the supremacists. But we were never in jeopardy of our lives. But it's been a city has been shrouded in a lot of pain since then. And so that has just, like, on top of COVID, and we're kind of having
Hmm.
our own
Hmm.
right now in the music community here. It's been, just pretty dark. Um, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to um, find a way, my own personal way to move through it, to like stand up to it, be here for it, be present for it, but also, take care of my kids, and still
Hmm.
try to find like joy and peace and moments of positivity in the day. So that's been like my hyper focus. You caught me on a good day, so I feel like I found some of those things today, but
Hmm.
it's definitely been tricky. And then also just like all of your income disappearing is very challenging. you
Hmm.
know
Hmm.
uh, I'm lucky to have a partner who has kept her job. She works at the university, and so they've done a little bit of furloughing, but she still has a job.
Hmm.
And and I'm pretty stingy, and I had saved up a little nest egg, so like we're doing okay. But as a manager, like, really the only money I ever made was commissioning, getting my 15% of shows, because
Yeah.
artists aren't making money off albums or anything.
Yeah.
um and so to watch, like, for some bands I'd been with them for years, and this was finally like the album tour cycle, and everyone was going
Hmm.
to finally
Hmm.
watch that kind of get pulled out from under you, has been tricky. And I know that, you know, we're not unique as musicians. Like, this is, everyone in the entire world is going through financial burdens. But it's made me, in a positive way, it's made me reconnect to the music.
Hmm.
And like the real reason why I got involved in the first place was the love and passion for music, and like the, the goosebumps and making something from nothing. Um, so this has helped me go back to be like, oh, if I never make another cent from music again, I still have this drive to create music. Like that doesn't go away with the money. They're not tied to each other. And so it's been nice to kind of almost like renew my vows or something with the art form. How about you? What's it? And you were traveling. I mean, when we put out the Minnesota Orchestra Dessa album, and I had Andy on the podcast, and you were like, you're doing all the Disney movie stuff, like the live play stuff, and you were traveling nonstop, like big conductors do. How has that been mentally for you over this year?
So, I mean, we all have the same issues, right? We had all these things booked, and all of a sudden, everything is gone. And for me, it was like month by month or week by week. It would just be like, all right, April's gone, May is gone, June is gone. And at this point, a lot of orchestras have canceled through December, or some of
Yeah.
them through July of next year.
Yeah.
So, that's the writing on the wall. So it's been an interesting process of reframing what it means to be a musician, because I don't have my instrument. My instrument is people, and I don't
Right.
have any people. So
Right.
what can I do to stay creative and engaged? And, it's an incredibly challenging time, just, in terms of finances, of course, and career, but also for mental health, because if you're not doing what
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing, you got to sort of pivot and figure out what you're doing in the world. So it's been like yeah, that's a long answer to a short question, but yeah.
That's exactly it. It's so heavy, and it's like, in one way, I'm really okay. I'm always trying to find silver linings, right? Like sometimes to a fault. I'm really grateful because it's unprecedented in my lifetime to have a time where society as a whole gets to push pause and just kind of contextualize what your life is like. Like that's been good. I'm such a I'm my own boss, and I have rules, but I follow my own rules. Like I sometimes have to remind myself, like, you set that up for yourself. Like you don't actually have to do everything that you told yourself. You have to, you know what I mean? Like I work a little hard sometimes. And so without this break, I think I would have just kept banging my head against the table and like plowing through all the work and not questioning whether it was satisfying or gratifying or the right thing for me. And so I have enjoyed the fact that I get to like kind of rethink what the next chapter of my life looks like. I wish I had more answers right now, or some like some financial security, but it's exciting to be like, okay, I'm 38. I just turned 38. I have 3 kids who are in school, and like, do I, when I first started making music, did I want to run a label or manage bands? Not to play music. I wanted to, I want to be a rock star like everybody else. But it's just helped me like refocus. And so I've actually found inspiration in production, and I'm starting to finally have the free time now that all the shows are canceled to be able to like make music during the day. Has that? I know that you started on piano, right? Was that your first?
Yeah.
Have you gone back to that at all, just from like a composing or creative vessel since all this happened?
I mean, not so much in terms of, because I really can't play because I hurt my hands when I was a teen, and that was the reason I became a conductor. But it's been interesting to rediscover. I've been doing these quizzes on Insta and, doing movie music things and using it as a vessel for other stuff rather than just performing, but to create content that engages other people with the music that I love. So yeah, in that sense, I kind of rediscovered it, which has been fun, because otherwise I wouldn't have had the time, like you. You know, it
Yeah.
is hitting pause, but it gives you this moment to be like, okay, what else did I want to do that I couldn't do until
Yeah.
I actually had time to do that, right?
Totally.
But I'm curious, like you came from like the performative that side of the music business, and then you made a very conscious decision to go into more production and management. And so, what was that process like of seeing both sides of the industry, or like being in both parts of those worlds?
Yeah. I was lucky that it was always slow and steady for me. Like I never had a moment I wished I had, but with a band where it's like overnight success, we blew up and all of a sudden you're like rolling in it.
Mm-hmm.
But by that, like incrementally, really like
Mm-hmm.
tortoise, um, I was able to like slowly try different things out. So as Doomtree grew, you know, we started in early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
At that point there was like 14 members, and my job was literally the archivist, which meant that I would go like pick up the alt
Mm-hmm.
weekly paper, wrote a paragraph about us, and I would pick up like I'd be like a mom with a scrapbook, you know. I'd be like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
got 20 copies, and we'll whatever cut them out, and then the person who was running the cash box left, and I was like, I can do the cash box, which was literally a cash box with like a Target ledger that was like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
$12 on CDRs and $14 at Kinko's on flyers, and you know, like humble
Yeah.
beginnings, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we're trying, you know, we're in Minneapolis, so there's not really an industry. So okay, we have to start our own label to put out our music, and like every step of the way, oh, we need to hire a publicist, or oh, we want to look
Mm-hmm.
for an agent, or oh, it's time to book tours, or we need a distributor. Like every one of those things came at different times, and I was
Mm-hmm.
able to learn a lot of the ropes over the course of like 10, 15 years. It was almost like a very slow, methodical crash course
Mm-hmm.
in the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
but from a DIY angle. And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
got to 30 and I had my first kid. I was like, oh shit, I can't tour like I used to. Because the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
entire time that my firstborn Penny uh, was that my wife was pregnant with her, because that was the only way I knew how to make money. Was like, okay, I just stay on the
Right.
road and I
Mm-hmm.
get my little $100, $200 every night, and I'll bring that home
Mm-hmm.
and diapers or whatever. Then we had then we had then we had twin boys like 20 months later,
Oh
and
wow.
it was like, okay, I either have to go get a real job now,
Mm-hmm.
or I figure out a different lane within this industry. And so it was at
Mm-hmm.
that point, each one of those births caused me to be like, okay, if I'm going to keep doing this, I need to actually like run the label and get a salary now, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need to start managing bands so that I can make money while they're on the road, because I can't go anywhere, and stuff like that. So that was a real natural thing. And I'm a true believer in like fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you ever really make it. Like I kind of think that's my life. Fake it till you make it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you die. And it's within like a positive, like it's like you just wing it and you figure it out and you fail and you try it differently and you don't
Mm-hmm.
fail, whatever. It's like that's just part of the journey. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have a very curious mind, so
Mm-hmm.
I even like the trip ups and the, you know, the forks in the road,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's so, you know, a long-winded answer to your question.
No, no, no.
I got to experience both at the same time, and so I've never had to fully put all my eggs in one or the other. I've been able to, even though the last 5 years, I would say that 90% of my days are just like conference calls and emails,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
actually schedule like 3 hours a week to make music.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping to flip that ratio now that COVID has done its thing. Like I'm
Right.
hoping to find, because that's when I'm the happiest. Like I get really pissy and crabby if I don't make music, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be
Mm-hmm.
like publicly released or consumed or applauded. I just have to make it because it makes me feel better, and it doesn't make and
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
when I don't make it for a long period of time, I get really depressed, and I also get super not fun to be around. Like ask my family, I'll be like, oh my God, Dad, like just go into your room and make something. So I have to always remind myself that like, I don't think I'd be happy at all if all I did was manage or both. Do you feel that way in your life, like conducting, but also even just like, I feel like you're so, God, cultured is not the right word, but like you're interested in food and you're interested now in like this and you're finding ways that it all kind of connects together. Does that help paint the picture for you? Like, does that give you the balance that you're looking for?
Yeah, in a way, because I've been able to pursue those other things and realizing that I do have other things that I really care about, that I haven't been able to do because, being a conductor is 24/7, 365, on the
Yeah.
road for 36 weeks last year, which is, it's a lot. Um,
Is I
yeah,
forget how
yeah, but
much you were gone because we would still see you, you pop back in, right? So I would still see
right.
you, but you're like just gone the rest of the time.
Yeah. So, given that schedule, I don't have time to think about the other things that make me the person that I am, including, you know, and food and fashion and dogs and writing and mental health advocacy and like all this other stuff that I'm really interested in that I haven't been able to do. So it does for me allow me to have a more complete picture when I'm not just, having my foot in one pool. That's not a good analogy, but you know what I mean? It's
No,
like
totally.
I'm just
You're
like
not
in one, yeah.
submerged in one pool. Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Are there things, so for me, everyone has their list of like, oh, when COVID's over, this is going to be the first thing I do. Like,
Hmm.
for me, it's strangely been, I just want to go to a hotel room. Like, I want to go to a nice, clean hotel.
Mm,
I love hotel rooms.
yeah.
I don't even mind like shitty motel rooms. Like, I just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
made my bed for me and I can, I just like, I kind of like, I think as a kid, every once in a while we go, that would be like a big family thing where we'd get a
Hmm.
hotel
Hmm.
for people. And so I just had this like weird nostalgia about it. That's all I want to do. I just want to like go to a hotel room for a weekend and
Wow.
just like, but as you who's lived in hotel rooms for the majority of the last 10 years, I'm sure, like, is
Mm.
there other things you're like, God, besides performing, that you like really want to do that?
That I really want to do. I mean, I miss traveling. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship because you hate it, right? When you're doing too much of it. But just being in one place, this is the longest I've gone. I just tweeted this, the longest I've not been on a plane in the past 30 years.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, it's a weird mental flip to say that you're in one place and that's it. And I'm so used to being in a different place and having that stimulation. And I mean, I don't want 36 weeks of it, but at least once a
Right.
month, I need that sort of reframe and a change in environment and situation so I can sort of, rethink where I am and what I'm doing. And that's important.
Off of all of it. I know. I feel that. I remember, yeah, when I was touring super hard, I get home and be like, God, I never want to do this again. But then, yeah, all it
Hmm.
takes is like a month stuck at home and you get the itch again. You're like, this is
Yeah.
kind of boring.
So
I
what did you
just,
like?
oh yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go. So
Oh,
speaking of touring, so what are what was touring like for you? What were like the ups and downs of it? And what do you miss about it or not miss about it?
I, strangely enough, because I was kind of well, I started playing music or like writing music with guitar in like an indie rock band when I was eighth grade. I met my best friend and we just like found each other's dad's guitars and learned how to play strange shit. And so the first like 10 years of my life was making songs with a guitar and touring, but more like basement shows and playing to
Hmm.
30
Hmm.
people. And that first 10 years, like the first couple times I visited every city in the country was like this amazing, like, oh my God, the world is so big and our country's so
Hmm.
vast. The whole just like mind blown discovery, like really romanticized, like driving down the highway and just being like, this is my life.
Hmm.
And we were used to like, I, I do actually miss these days because it was so simple. It was just like, all you had to do is get the gas money to get to the next show. We were never really making money anyways. So it's like I delivered pizzas because I could get my shifts covered when I had to leave. And if I came home and was broke, which always happened every time, I could pick up a bunch of shifts and like cover my rent.
Right.
So we would, enough money to get to the next city. We'd announce from stage that we needed a place to crash, and without fail, someone on their floor. And but by doing that, I got to meet people, and I got to like there were some mornings where they would take us out to breakfast or walk us around the town, or like we'd actually learn from locals about that city. And then as I transitioned into that and rap tours, and we were more successful. So we had one, we were making some money, which was tight. And we were so many of us with Doomtree, it was like we would tour, there'd be like 9 of us. So you can't be like, hey, anyone got floor space for 10 people? So at that point it went to like hotels, and granted like 5 people in a hotel room, but like something about that flipped where I felt like I felt more like a tourist, I think, when I would tour. Wasn't getting the like, it was very much more just like from the van to the green room to the hotel to the van. And what I loved in the early days was like this communal, like, oh my God, these human beings are getting us through this. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So there was just this sense of community that as the tours got bigger, and then there would be bus tours and things like that, you get to talk to people at the merch table after the show, but it was missing like human element. So I have a love-hate relationship with all, and I'm also like a producer and a homebody. So like I really has not actually been that hard for me as far as the like cabin fever thing, because I really love being at home, and I've been able to weather that a lot better than most musicians that I know. So I'm thankful for that. Because I'd rather be here anyways, in a weird way. So I don't know, but so that's what touring became. And now at this point, at 38 with father of 3, like I've tested this, and to avoid like divorce papers, I think I can go 5 days in a row 5 nights without being home. And we tested it with 6, and everything falls apart. Like the kids lose their shit. My wife is officially me, like, so now if I do anything, it's like weekend warrior stuff, which for me is like perfect, right? It's like it's like a dad's night out or whatever. I'm like, oh, I get to go out, party for 3 days, and like play music and meet people, and then come home to a wife and a family and my happy household, like and still make a little bit of money. That part, but yeah, I don't miss the long tour, or never out for like 6 months at a time, but 6 to 8 weeks at a time, it's long enough, especially when you're in a band. And you were always, for the most part with conducting, it's the most you've really been in one place, like a week generally, or have you had longer residencies where you're doing like
Yeah, a week. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm used to like, moving. Definitely not being in one place for so long. But that being said, I have my community of musicians and people that I know all around the world that I might see them once or twice a year when I go work there. So, I have like many ports, in the storm, and just, missing all those people right now too, to be like, I got, all my Minneapolis friends, I haven't been there for 5 months, which is crazy. Or, my guys in the Danish orchestras that I do. And this is like, I haven't seen you, or I haven't been to Toronto or Montreal, or, any of the places I usually go. So it's a weird situation to be in.
Totally. And are you like, I know this is kind of like Zoom what we're doing, but are you tuned out? Are you like, have you gotten Zoom fatigue like everybody else? It's hard for me to like, even dear friends, like friends in New York, they're like, oh, we got to do a Zoom at night and like, talk. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I love you so much. Like, don't know if I can do it. That has been a weird it's hard. It's like long distance relationships, right? It's like this shit is
Yeah, it
hard.
is. It's just like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you finding ways to connect to these people all throughout the world that you had kind of gotten used to seeing multiple times a year, or is it kind of hit or miss?
I mean, it's hard. It's hit or miss, but also it's like, you know how you have work friends, some of them, it's like it's within the context of stuff that you're doing that you're really close. And then take that
Yeah.
away, it's like, holy shit, it's like a whole different
Right.
relationship. So, you know,
Right.
it's really interesting, like discovering all that stuff and, you know, figuring out how all these relationships like fit into your larger life and, you know, how we connect that way. But I'm wondering, like, so you're at home, you're able to make music in a way that you might not have 5 months ago. So what's your creative process like? If you give yourself, as you said, maybe 3 hours a week to make music,
Yeah.
do you just kind of sit down and let, you know, your imagination go wild, or do you have to focus more because you have this limited amount of time?
The latter, for sure.
Okay.
So I came from in my 20s, uh, working the night pizza delivery job, like
Mm-hmm.
every day I would kind of devote 9 to 5 to making a beat. And I had it down to a science where like the first half of the day, I'm kind of constructing the main ideas and I eat lunch. And the second half of the day, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sequencing creating into a song.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for like a decade. That was just like what I did. And then as I got busier, I needed to make money and then kids and all that stuff, like
Yeah.
had to start to break down the workflow in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a painful like 4 or 5 years to where it was just really hard to figure out how to find a new groove. It was almost like learning how to play a new instrument. It was like I know how to do this, but
Huh.
it's different. But then in the last like 4 years, I have hit like my midlife stride or something. But like I figured it
Mm-hmm.
out, and some technology stuff caught up to where like there's
Oh, lost you for a sec. Okay. You're back. Okay. It's okay.
my dad. Uh, so there's this site called splice.com, which is like what I call it like the Spotify of sample packs. And so for producers, sample packs are like already made sounds that are sample free, royalty free, that you can use however you want. And so I'm like the way that my style is kind of like a collage artist. So like, I take 30 weird sounds and then tune them up and play around with them and create a song out of that. So in the old days, you had to pay a lot of money to clear a song that you sampled on vinyl or whatever. This has like leveled the playing field because it's all free to use. I pay like $15 a month. I have access to like, I don't know, 20 million different sounds, and it's all like nice and neat. Like I could type in, okay, you can do searches where it's like, okay, I want something between 120 and 127 BPMs in, C sharp minor and just percussion sounds. And you click enter, and then whoop, like 2,000 sounds. Yeah, and you're like, okay, and then you can listen, download them, and play around with them. And so like, it's allowed me to like reconnect with the thing that I loved about hip hop in the first place, which was like taking sound and manipulating it and turning it into something new. And so I'm just like so happy. I feel like I'm truly, now that I'm about to have some more time to actually make music, I'm truly like, I think I always called myself a beat maker. There's always a big debate in hip hop between what a beat maker is and what a producer is. And a producer is not just someone who makes a banger. It's like, it's the little things like, coaching vocals or mix notes like that. And I feel like I've leveled up, and I'm like, I'm not afraid to call myself a legit producer now. It's like, whatever that, 10,000 hours or whatever. I just feel like I put in my time, and I'm finally at an age where I have all this experience to draw back on, and I know what I'm doing. I feel confident in what I'm doing. Literally, I am not a studio head. This is literally this is under my bed. So here's my bed.
Okay.
Like MTV Crib.
Let's see.
So this, between the laptop and this, is how I make music. I've been just doing it in
No
headphones,
shit.
MIDI headphones, a USB cable, and this sampler sequencer that plugs into my laptop. And I can do that anywhere as long as I have electricity. And so like, and so finding an hour at a time now to just be like, okay, I'm very much, I used to just make beats, and the whole idea was like, more is more. Like I would just have, I'm like, if I make a beat a day, then I fall to 500 beats. So anytime someone needs something, I can just be like, well, pick something. And that was cool at the time, but that was the beat thing. That was like, okay, I just made all this stuff. You pick it and do what you want with it. The producer now, like, I'm making things only for specific people and specific projects at any given second. The intention is there, and that allows me to like really deep dive and like connect in collaboration so much more. And that has been like this second phase of my musical life that has been so deeply impactful to me, to like truly collaborate with people instead of just being like, here's some beats, do whatever you want and put it out. Be like, what do you want? What do you want it to sound like? What are you going for? Are there any keys that you don't like singing in, or are there any certain like, do you fucking hate French horns? Should I never use a French horn? You know, like things like that. And made it so much more fun and also like challenging, because you're like, you're a part of it. You're not just like on the sideline. You know, you're like, and there's something that's that communal thing that I think I'm always after too. A great example is like us working together on the orchestra stuff, like between you, Andy Thompson, the composer, and Dessa and me and Grant and all these people. Like, you're a team. Our text threads that we still have, like, we're a team. And there's something that's so rewarding when you fail or win as a team. Like, just that the fact that with other people is, it's I think the thing that has always driven me. So that's what it looks like now. And I'm turning a corner in my life where I think, because of COVID and probably stepping away from business stuff currently, I'm gonna finally have the time. Like the next 2 months, I'm like geeking out about the stuff that I'm gonna actually be able to do. Just like sitting here cross-legged in this spot, making. I'm really excited about that. So that's something to look forward to, at least.
Yeah. Amongst the, this really weird time. And yeah, it's finding those silver linings, I think, and finding the time to be creative in ways that we weren't able to before, which is, I think, really amazing. If you don't mind, I really sort of want to talk about, I've been reading about this. You had a time in late 2015, 2016 where you were doing way too much. And yeah. And so, like, how did you, and a lot of musicians do find themselves in trouble in terms of their health and their mental health, and they don't know where to turn, who to talk to. And there is still sort of like a stigma attached to having mental health issues. Like, we don't want to talk about it. But you've been pretty open about that and finding ways to find balance in your life so you could get back that equilibrium. And I wanted to see if you would share some of that.
Oh my God, I'd love nothing more. Like, that's the thing I think I'm most passionate about outside of music. And it was something that I never even thought of or acknowledged until 2015, when, just for like a little backstory, I had like officially taken over managing Doomtree and also running the label. And I now had 3 kids, 3 kids under the age of 2 for like 4 months. And I decided we were going to put an end to this 10-year annual blowout week that we did, where we would sell out. It was like 7 days of shows across the city. And we were at a really, by the height of our success at that point in like 2013, 14. And so we were like, okay, this was when like indie festivals were booming. And like, and it's like everyone and their mom was having their own festival. We're like, okay, we want to do a festival. So we'll ditch this kind of built-in thing we've been doing for 10 years. We're going to like go hard and try to do like a national festival here in Minneapolis. And we ended up I was so eager to, and I'm dealing with this a lot. I'm a people pleaser by nature. I'm like a perfectionist. That's those things have really revealed themselves in my 30s. But so, I just accepted these, like I was in charge, and I was like, okay, these guys want to do this. I have to make it happen. And so with no understanding of how festivals work, I was like, okay, we'll do it. And, worked with the city of St. Paul, secured the St. Paul Saints minor league baseball stadium for the venue. But it was like the things I'm used to with shows that are built in, right? Like electricity and bathrooms and sound and lights and someone taking tickets and bartenders, like none of that. We just had a baseball field. So all of a sudden I'm like meeting with the St. Paul police commissioner to talk about a security plan and traffic detail and bringing in fireworks for after the show and trying to basically be a booking agent, trying to book national acts to come and play and working with blah, 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 trying to get sponsorships. And it was kind of just, it wasn't just me, but I kind of took it on and then didn't know how to distribute it. I got too deep into it and didn't know how to give work away. And I just went slowly. It was probably 6 months of planning. And I just went down this rabbit hole, and it was incremental enough where I couldn't really see the decline. But I truly, I lost my mind. And I was also getting like sporadic 3 to 4 hours of sleep with staying up with the kids all night. And so like the combination, right, of no sleep, super stressful job, a lot of factors that were out of my control that I was trying to, tweak to make work for us. Like we got done with it. And from an outside perspective, it was a total success. It went awesome. I lost though like 5 pounds throughout the process. And I was like sticks. And I truly wasn't there. Like my wife, it got to the point where she was like, I'm just going to watch the kids because you are clearly not even like able to handle the basic shit. So that was like my rock bottom. Like after that, I realized I thought it would all go away after that show. And it didn't, because there's just as many other things going on in my life. And so that was when I decided to talk to my doctor, just my GP, and she, God bless her, she was so sweet to me. Like I had not known what anxiety was. And she was just like, look, she talked about it like if we're on a roller coaster and our lives, like up here at the top, like we're as humans, like we can take a lot of stress. It's actually like a decent amount of it is good for us, drives us, pushes us, whatever. And so she's like, where you want to be is like right here, like right before you go down the big hill. And she's like, but we're just went a little bit over. And so we got to bring you back to here. And for me, that was, I bawled in her office. Oh my God, she's so sweet. Because I hadn't talked about it. And I thought I was alone. I thought I was unique in these feelings and I didn't know how to label them. And that was the moment where my eyes were opened that like, this is something that literally everybody deals with it in some way or another. And so I got, personally, I was put on a low dose anti-anxiety medication that I'm still on to this day. I think totally up to the person whether medication is the answer. For me, it helped the edge off to where like my mind was always running. So I would wake up every hour because I would have these thoughts of like, oh, I gotta remember to do that or blah, blah, blah. This helps just kind of allow me to like turn it off at the end of the night and just relax and go to bed. But through that process, I also was given this book called 10% Happier by Dan Harris, who is, you know who he is? He's like a news, I'm TV journalist. I think he worked at CNN for a long time. But he wrote this book called 10% Happier, which he was assigned, like he was a beat reporter. And so he would get assigned like the Sunday evening ABC, whatever. He got sent out on all these like religious studies and things like that. And in that process, he learned about meditation and different like spiritual practices. So this book is about his journey learning those things. It's actually about how he came to like love meditation. And and he equated it in a very like analytical way. He's like, I don't think meditation solves your problems, but he's like, when I really look at it, I think in my life, I'm 10% happier than I was before I found meditation. That was like such a cool way, because I always just kind of wrote all that stuff off as like woo woo or new age.
Right.
And for someone to just be honest about like, look, this isn't going to change your whole life. It's going to do enough good that like, wouldn't it be worth trying for 10 minutes a day if you could reach double digits in happiness? And so between that book and then the Headspace app, have you ever used that?
Yes, it's
Okay.
great. I love it. I love that guy's voice.
Oh. One person that you could sit down and have dinner with. Oh no, are you freezing up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you though.
Oh no. Okay,
that's okay. Keep talking.
I'll keep talking.
Yes. There you go.
So he would be Andy Puddicombe, the founder of Headspace and the voice of Headspace. He would be my guy out of anyone living. Like, if you could have dinner with one person, I just find him so fascinating. And he's at this point like a dear friend to me, even though I've never met him.
Right.
But I had another manager friend, actually Bon Iver's manager, recommend it to me because he knew what I was going. And there was something about it. It was on my phone. It was 10 minutes. So it was like the expectations weren't crazy. I didn't have to carve out half a day. I was it's the first time I've ever just sat and like listened or scanned my body or just been present with my breath. And it was so profound that I feel like I've been like I come from a pretty religious family. My dad was a born again Christian, and I can relate to him in the sense of like, I feel like a born again meditation person. Like, I want everyone to try it. I think it's so beneficial, and I think it's so good. And I have to check myself and my enthusiasm sometimes because it's not for everybody. And you know, meditation is different for each person. Like for my wife, she really likes being in nature. So for walking by the river. For some people, it's reading a book or taking a nap or whatever, like going for a drive. But for me, having this reminder of every morning, 10 minutes before I open my laptop, it has really centered me and allowed me to check myself before I go off the deep end. It hasn't solved my problems. Like anxiety and depression and stress will always be there. It's like a wave our whole life. But it's better equip me with the tools to combat those things when and I can actually see them coming now before I'm too deep. And so that's been like the biggest thing that I've noticed is like I can now tell, oh man, things are getting a little too crazy at work, or well, like I'm feeling on edge or whatever. My body feels like it's on fire, and those are signs now that I can pick up where I can then kind of readjust my calendar or take a mental health day, or you know, not say yes to every single request that comes in. That and doing a gratitude journal every night, which I know you were doing. I loved seeing you do daily gratitude. There's an app. I sound like a tech guy, but whatever.
That's okay.
There's an app that's just called the Gratitude Journal, and it was made by some woman in South Dakota, and it's the most simple. I think it's like $3, and it's got a little tiny Buddha as the picture, but for the least amount of time, the most impactful thing in my day-to-day life with mindfulness, because you can set it up. A lot of people like the act of writing and journaling, but I have this app and I have it set up to ping me at 9 p.m. every night. And it just says a little word of encouragement. It's super cheesy, like, hey, rock star, or whatever. And then you click it and you just type, it's just a list of 3 things. You just type whatever comes to your mind. It's gotten to the point now where it takes me 10 seconds. Like if I did it now, it'd be like, Sarah, vodka Red Bull, and in making music, finding time to make, because there is real science behind like if you do this for 30 days consecutively, you are actually changing the neural pathways in your brain to be more aware of the positive things than the negative things. And so what I find it the most beneficial is actually on the really hard days where it takes me a while to think of something good. Because in doing that, you're kind of shaking yourself out of that funk already. You know, if you have like the shittiest day and you're just down in the dumps and you have to remember something good, and sometimes it'll be the stupidest little thing, right? Like the apple pie I got at McDonald's. Sometimes it'll be really a lot of times it's about food, weirdly enough. But like sometimes it'll be really profound. Like, oh, I watched my son learn how to use the letter V this morning, or sometimes it'll be super cheesy, like Mother Earth, or you know. But like, there's a million things, and the beauty of it is it doesn't fucking matter what you put down. None of that is the point. But it's training yourself to think about the good things and to be grateful and to be kind. And I don't know, just something about that has really changed me. And I think it's made me able to be a better person to other people, if that makes sense. It's allowed me to be more compassionate and empathetic, and just like, I don't know, it softened me in a way that I think I really needed. And that the gratitude stuff, that has really been a truly like life-altering blessing. And yeah, anyway, sorry, I could talk about this forever, but those are truly, like, I've tried a bunch of other stuff, like, you know, I love going to the wellness centers and trying the deprivation tanks or the acupuncture, or, you know, things like that. I think that's all really cool. Reiki, it's all really cool. But I've always just gone back to this foundational of like, meditate in the morning, say your gratitudes in the evening. And by bookending the day like that, it keeps me in a place of like presence, awareness, and I don't know, just like compassion and kindness. It just puts me in the spot that I want to be as a human being. Anyways, so I cannot recommend either of those apps enough. Headspace, you can get a free trial. I think it's like $8 a month, and that's amazing. And then this gratitude journal is like literally $3 one time, and it's great. How about you? Now I know, like, this was before COVID or right after COVID that you did the gratitude thing. Did you do 30 days of gratitude?
Yeah, that was right at the top of COVID, where we needed to, you know, express some gratitude for something, because everything was shit, you know? Yeah.
So did you find in doing that, did you notice some of those benefits too, or just like kind of a slow flip of the way you were interacting with the world? I don't think it is, but
I thought it was important for me, for my own mental health, to be able to see something positive every day, no matter, as you said, it could be, you know, one day it was like chocolate. I'm grateful for chocolate. And another one, you know, it was like something much more complex, like my relationship with my mom, which is, you know, it's like so much filigree in there that it's hard to explain. So, but that was a good exercise for me. But also, whenever I do anything online or virtually, my thought is, what can I do that is going to impact someone, to allow them to express themselves, or to feel that they have permission to do something because they're seeing someone else do it as well. So, you know, putting stuff out there and saying, I'm trying to work, you know, to make sure that I'm okay. You guys go try, do whatever you need to do, and have the courage to do it, because here I am just laying it out. Everyone else can, right? If I can do it, you can do it. So that's always been the desire, to be that person. And I guess it is empathy and compassion, but to me it was just like, you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay, you're okay, right?
No, and I think there's something courageous in putting it out there. But I think that, like, one of the things that I'm striving for in my life, and in the things that I'm drawn to other people, is vulnerability, which is like, especially I came up in rap music in the 90s, which there was no vulnerability, right? It's a lot of, and so to come from that and to like get to this place of like, you know, I have my good days and bad days, but I'm really trying to be as transparent and vulnerable as I possibly can. And just seeing the benefits across the board, like just personally, I don't have to like hold on to shit or be someone I'm not, or, you know, like feel like I don't have like imposter syndrome, which I know a lot of people struggle with. Like, so there's that. There's like just the selfishly that's personally been very helpful for me. But then it's allowed me to connect with so many more people by like being vulnerable. It allows other people to be vulnerable, and it's like it's kind of gets passed on. And I've like some of the connections and the breakthroughs I've had with perfect strangers or people I barely know through just like portraying those honest, open feelings has been like, that has also changed my life. I'm getting really sentimental right now, but as I like
No, it's cool.
That is a big part of it, and that's why I like being. I don't mind like when you're your most pure self. It's almost like you know, if your intention is love going into something, then you're gonna come out of it with love, no matter whatever bad it is. Like, you know, if it's Minnesota in these this uprising, or it's COVID or whatever. Like, if your intentions are pure, you can't really be torn down. And there's something empowering about that I don't know, I'm really struck by that. Like, there's strength in weakness or something. There's something to that. And I'm just rambling now, but I think I love seeing when other people, like, I love seeing you publicly do your gratitude stuff, like just destigmatizing this stuff and just like making it. I do think in the last 5 years, while we still have a long way to go, like in music especially, the doors opened. Like there's a lot more conversation, at least among musicians, I think, now than ever. And I think it'll eventually spread into like, you know, the listeners and the fans and stuff like that. But I wasn't having these conversations like we are right now with our platforms like 5 years ago at all. So I do think that there's like a tide turning, but it's slow. I just like, you know, I wish all this stuff was free. I wish healthcare was free. I do still struggle with like the kind of mindfulness industry, because it is so it's so privileged. It's like it all costs a lot of money, and it's very much like run and for rich white people. And you know, like those are things like most things in this life that we're gonna need to chip away at as we continue to like try to strive for a million other social changes. But that's where I would love to see it go. Like, can we just make like, can Headspace just be part of your insurance? And can you know, like, I don't know, can you get free therapy and things like that? Like, that's another thing that I'm just venturing into. And again, another thing that I'm privileged to be able to afford it, like barely, but I have the money to pay for it, you know, like, and I don't know how. I've already seen the benefits from both marriage counseling and now I'm about to begin, I have a life coach, and I'm about to begin personal therapy, and like just the immediate benefits in the same way, like this is therapy for me, like having these deep conversations with a friend, that's therapeutic. Like, I don't know, there's such like simple things that I feel like would go so far for helping everybody's mental health and everybody's like worldview if we could somehow just figure out a way to not make people pay a fuck ton of money for it. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, that's a whole nother conversation. No, but I love this thought of, you know, saying, and I'm going to have to wrap this up pretty quick because we're going to get kicked off of IG.
Yeah.
This notion that, you know, if you can do something for yourself to, you know, be transparent and honest and create that foundation so that you can be a whole person, so that everyone else around you can be a whole person maybe. And that is the incremental change that helps us be a society or a world, or even just a collection of people who want to get something done in a good way and be good to each other. And that is, you know, these small gestures we can make, even for our own selves, for our own health. And that's where it really begins, right? So that we're able to go in the world to do these things. I love that you're doing that, because we need artists to have a sense of self and stability in self, so that they can be, you know, these fonts of light that they are, as we are as artists.
Yeah, totally. I'm so on your wavelength, Sarah, and I'm so grateful for you having me on here. I'll put that in my gratitude journal. It was very, very nice to just have an excuse to talk to you, for one, and just, yeah, you know how it goes. Like, you get so wrapped up in the minutia of the day to day that these conversations help me reframe the bigger picture stuff that I want to lead with in my day to day. So I, you know, this makes me, I'll take this into my tomorrow, and I'll start tomorrow with a bigger smile, because this is like the nourishment that I think we need. Like, not to always make food analogies, but like, you know, this is like a 6-course meal, and it's gonna like sustain me and keep me going to the next conversation. And so, anyways, thanks for what you're doing and for the conversations you're having.
And thank you. Thanks so much for being open and honest and chatting. And it's great to see you. Yeah, I haven't, you know, haven't seen you in ages, and great to talk to you and get, you know, get to know you a little bit better and all that kind of stuff. So,
absolute pleasure. I'm Sarah. Best of luck with it all. And I hope that someday soon we are reunited in person.
Yes, we hope. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Vic.
Yeah. Take
Bye.
care. See you later.